here enjoying what we call the dog days of summer, but I guess I'm with a guest I'll introduce you to who's probably enjoying the dog days of winter. He's down under, and so our heat is starting to arrive, and it will. I'm with Ryan Ettridge, CyberCert. Ryan, what's the weather like there? It's your winter, but in
Oh
Sydney,
yeah.
yeah. What's that look like?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here with the blanket on my lap at the desk, and so winter here is about 14 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. What does that translate to, Harry?
Yeah, I don't know, man, but
It's cold. It's
it's
pretty
a
cold
little
for me.
dipper. Yep, yep. And well, hey, so introduce yourself, and then I'm going to have you bring up a piece of art and tell us about CyberCert. But first, what Eris rock, what rock did you climb out from in Australia, the outback?
Yeah, yeah. So the outback. So East Coast Australia is where the density of the population is. I'm in Brisbane, which is the Queensland's the northern state of the East Coast, and so Ryan Ettridge is my name, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of CyberCert, which I'll talk you through a little bit about in a moment, Harry. But that's me sitting here in the winter weather. Three daughters I'm about to take to school shortly, and the day's just kicking off with a cup of coffee in the hand.
Yeah, I always liked Brisbane. Back in my go-go days with Microsoft Small Business Server, we favored Australia and used to build in some extra time on the Gold Coast, right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, always enjoyed it. Okay, well let's cut to the chase at your leisure. If you want to bring up a screen share that has something that's representative of what you do, and this
Yeah.
is first of many conversations. So welcome. Want to hear your story?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Harry. Yeah. So let me know when you can see that on the screen there. This is really just the landing page of the website.
Yeah,
CyberCert is certification, cybersecurity certification for small businesses. It's the only one in the world outside of the likes of the UK Cybersecurity Essentials in Singapore, where they're jurisdiction-based certifications. And so CyberCert fills the gaps for small businesses that don't really have a standard to align to, and therefore don't have a certification to align to. And certification for small businesses is the proof that they've done something that is internationally recognized to a standard so that they can focus on the things that they do best, which is selling flowers or cooking burgers for us or fixing our teeth or giving us legal advice or whatever our small business friends do. So CyberCert was specifically designed with the small business in mind because the enterprise grade cybersecurity standards and certifications just don't help. In fact, they break the small business when they try to implement them because the small business, I use this term a little bit exaggeratingly, if that's a word, and that is that small businesses can't spell cybersecurity in the same way that I can't spell accounting. It's not our job to be experts in those areas, so we have to have a mechanism and a system in place that allows us not to know how to do cybersecurity ourselves, but knowing that it's being done, and that's what CyberCert exists for, Harry.
yeah. So a couple of questions because I'm pro certification. Back in our rehearsal, in fact, I should have pointed them out. I have a brag office, right?
Yeah.
The frame certifications, the acrylic, best of show, right? I'm that guy. And
Yeah, yeah.
I guess when you retire, you throw them out. I've known a couple people that, yeah, I left Microsoft. I just threw them all out. I believe in certification made my career right back in the 90s with Windows Server and beyond.
Yeah.
And it meant something. And then, we kind of went into the wilderness for a while, paper certs, and, people are just getting trained on taking the test. So we went out into the wilderness, but they're back. And I'm assuming, number one, you have more meat on those bones. And then number two is part and partial to that would be, is your audience realistically the MSP would take this to hang a plaque on their wall kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah, they're really good questions, and it is a really common question, Harry, because when people think about certifications, initially they think about certifying themselves. To your point, it's like you get your Microsoft certifications, your Cisco, your whatever, right? This is
Yeah.
not a certification for individuals. This is a certification for your business.
Okay.
This is to demonstrate to your customers and your shareholders and your clients, enterprise clients, government clients, that your business is cyber certified. So you can legally demonstrate to insurers, to supply chain clients, that you have met a particular standard that is internationally recognized. SMB 1001 is that standard. I'm not going to get too technical, but that's the standard that CyberCert certifies a business against. In the same way you might be familiar, the listeners might be familiar with ISO 9001, which is,
Yep.
your quality and your safety standards and all of the other types of familiar standards for your business essentially becomes your license to operate. Cybersecurity is not at that stage yet for let's say about 90% of SMBs across the world. There is not really that quote unquote license to operate in cybersecurity just yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And in some jurisdictions, as I said, UK and others, it is actually in place now. CyberCert is that for your business. And it starts at the earliest stages of a small business being, 1 to 2 person shop. There's a certification you can even see on the screen. It starts from $95. That's the
Yep.
bronze certification for the business. And it moves up as an SMB matures to get to dealing with personal information, dealing with more sensitive and even secret to the organization information, and dealing with some really advanced cybersecurity threats. That's what CyberCert's about, Harry, is to protect the business. And to your MSP question, by design, if it's okay, I'm just going to move to a different screen because it's really important.
Yeah, do, and we'll engage at a very different level down the road, right? A full on webinar, and we'll go there. But give us a tease.
This is the MSP one, right? So in the same way that I was being a little bit joking about the SMB doesn't know how to spell cybersecurity, and we don't expect them to. What we have written into this requirement is number one at each level of the certification is that you must have someone who can help you with that. That's the MSP. So the MSP's job is really to help their SMBs guide them through the certification journey that CyberCert lays out.
Yeah. No, I like your approach. And like I say, we're going to make good trouble soon, as they say. And double click into that. So tell us a little bit more about your company. Is it you got a couple partners, your geography? I know you're keen on the US. That makes so talk to me about your company and your partners and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, a nice flow on from that MSP powered requirement number one. CyberCert doesn't consult. CyberCert doesn't run the programs for the small businesses ourselves. We really rely on partners to be able to do that. So if you can imagine, my role is to facilitate that ecosystem of partners to be able to assist their SMBs. And so we have CyberCert launched in Australia a few years ago, and that essentially are the roots of CyberCert is in Australia and New Zealand at the moment. That's where the momentum has built. And so we have 300 partners across ANZ.
No kidding.
300 MSPs.
Yeah, no, that's my compliment. I live in this world. That's a real number, dude.
Yeah, this is real. So really, I got a call from one of our big technology partners last week and said, dude, we're all in. And I said, what do you mean? Oh, we've written our next year's strategies around SMB 1001, this standard. Like, this is the real deal now. People have MSPs, partners, tech vendors, insurers have actually integrated and written their entire strategies around SMB 1001 and CyberCert, which is very, very humbling. It's very reassuring, and it's very exciting that this is not just a new product or service. This is actually a movement that we're very proud to be leading from ANZ. And so 300 partners, there's just over 3,000 small businesses already certifying. So we have that amount of small businesses moving through the process, either certified now or about to be certified. And we formed a partnership with Pax8. For those that don't know, that's the world's largest software.
Hey, by the way, let me interrupt. I didn't know you at the time. I saw Wayne at Pax8.
Yes.
Were you there?
We were there. We had a booth there. Yeah, we had a booth over at the side. So we were giving away the. That's all good. I know Wayne was trying to get us to chat, Harry, but we must have missed out on time. But yeah, we're giving away gold squishies for the listeners who were there. But so we launched with Pax8, Harry, in 4 weeks ago. We launched in the US via Pax8 Beyond conference 4 weeks ago, whenever we were there. And we're just moving through the process now to launch that officially in the Pax8 marketplace in the next few weeks, which means, of course, there's 42,000 partners or so that Pax8 has accessible through that marketplace. And CyberCert, giving its uniqueness, is, of course, the only certification in the marketplace there. So the goal is to activate as many MSPs and partners as we can. So not just MSPs, but consultants, value-added resellers in a certain sense, where they can start to shift from VAR to MSP. So CyberCert is that mechanism for them. The US, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, is the same as the Australian-New Zealand market.
Yeah.
You know, MSPs need to be aware of this, and then they see the value prop, and then once they got it, they run with it. And in the same way, cyber insurance is a huge driver. It's exactly the same here. So the beautiful thing about what we've demonstrated here in ANZ is it's copy and paste. It's just a way bigger market in the US, of course, Harry.
Yeah, no, I got it. And hey, final question before I let you go for now. And again, we'll chat again soon. But again, I'm thinking back to the old MCSE days, and God forbid, Novell NetWare, not to age myself. There was a whole industry, and I actually knew some of the training centers in Seattle, the owners, right? They had a whole industry of these 3-day and 5-day classes, in an office building space, classroom.
Yeah.
So instructor led, and then that morphed. Then we became an era, and I miss instructor led, and I have some friends who are instructors, and that's quite frankly dried up. But then it became online self-study, right? Microsoft had everything. And what are you, instructor led, online self-study? What's your paradigm for learning?
Well, it depends on who's learning, and so really our job is to train MSPs to be able to guide their SMBs through to certification readiness. Again, it's not so much that an individual becomes a CyberCert qualified individual, it's that an organization does. So
yeah, and I like that, by the way. That was always the drawback with the MCSC, is Harry jumps jobs. Well, the MCSC just walked out the door, right? It was Harry.
Yeah, it's actually like Crest in penetration testing world, Crest and some others, they actually accredit the organization based on the number of people that have the qualification. And so I really like that balance as well. We have to be able to scale, is what I'm going to say. Like, there's 900,000 addressable small businesses in Australia. There's 30 million in the US. There's 300 million across the world. Instructor-led doesn't scale, unfortunately, and that is the world that we live in today. But it doesn't mean that we can't do semi or hybrid online instructor-led, or in some cases, the Pax8 Academy, for example, they do in-person and instructor-led. And so I'm not writing that off. I just think it definitely has to be a combination of digital, even avatars. Some people learn through doing as opposed to reading. Some people listen. Some people like to see people and chat to a community. So we have to address all of those things, and that's what's evolving.
Yeah, and I'll make a personal comment. We'll call it good, man. But the I'm an active learner, and there's some reasons for that. I'm a lifelong of ADHD, which I call my secret weapon.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'll never be confused with someone with, and God bless them, but Asperger's syndrome or something, right?
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally different motion. And it's a big, beautiful world, but I would learn by doing. I actually, that's why I really enjoyed the hands-on labs, right? We went
Yeah.
through that phase. They set up 30 laptops, you
Mm.
know, you get your laptop and you go through exercises. Well, see, I'm an active learner, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you're too young, but we had a thing called the registry.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
the registry. Yeah. Yeah.
You had to go into all of that. Well, hey, my friend. Hey, stay on the line, Ryan. Ryan Ettridge at CyberCert. Thank you, sir, and we'll have you back soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Harry. Thank you to all the listeners too.